Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Silicon Oasis Spotlight. My name is Josue Romero. It is a warm and sunny August Wednesday, as it usually is in Arizona, and I'm just stoked to have here with me today. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Joe Wicker with GreenMatter Biotech.
Let's go. Joe, you mentioned to me that you are originally from Arizona. It's hard to come by those these days. It's what I hear every time I go to some sort of networking event. People ask, well, are you from here? And I say yes, and then they are too. They get excited, and if they're not, they're like, what's it like being from Arizona? So I would love to know your background because honestly, the number of tech founders who are originally from Arizona, probably that many.
Yeah, right.
7,
Yeah,
in my opinion. Yeah. So would love to learn a little bit about your background and how you got into tech.
Yeah, great. So I grew up near Old Town, Scottsdale. Went to high school here, and ended up doing college in Colorado, and then returned back and started a family. And funny enough, how I got into the tech was from a hemp farm.
Whoa. Okay.
And growing up here, real estate's a big deal. And it was like a dream of mine to do real estate, and that seemed like a big deal to me. I was taking on a lot, and these projects as a kid when I was little seemed like they were huge. And one of the things that led me into is a guy's hemp farm. And when I went out there, I started working with him, and we were, got into the business, and I started looking at all the different avenues that you can use hemp with, and that led me right into plastic.
Oh.
Yeah. And so we created a tech for plastic, for biodegradable plastic. It's, I'm sure you're familiar. I mean, everybody's gotten familiar with the problems with plastic these days.
Yep.
It's, first of all, it was a terrific invention. It's light, it's uniquely moldable, it's strong, it's inexpensive, and it lasts forever.
And it lasts forever. That one, I think a lot of people know.
Right. And and so that's the problem with it, is it lasts forever. It was originally a feature, now it's a bug. They figured that out about 30, 40 years ago, that it was going to be a problem. And, the first initiative, really, the big initiative was recycling.
Yep.
And I do it. I'm sure you do it.
Yeah.
You take it every day, or not every week, rather. You take your bin out to the recycling curb and sort it all out in your house and all that kind of stuff. And, started looking into all these alternatives they have to help with the plastic pollution. And, recycling, turns out it doesn't really work. There's seven categories of it, and that we recycle 2 here in the Valley. And that's common. That's common throughout all cities, really. And so like 91% of what we put in that bin doesn't end up getting recycled.
Yes, I was going to share that statistic next. I remember it being 85 to 90.
Yeah.
Sad to hear it's up to 91.
Right. Yeah. So it's that's not really a good viable solution. And I started looking at all the different fixes. There's, you probably recall a number of years ago, a turtle got a straw in his nose. So
the famous image of that. Yeah. Poor turtle.
Stop being able to use plastic straws, and then there's people using paper straws as an alternative.
Yep.
And that goes in with bamboo, rather, or wood, forks and knives, or agave forks and knives, stuff like that. A lot of alternatives, and they're really just kind of niche alternatives. They don't really solve a global plastic problem.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you've used one, but everybody I talk to says they're terrible to use, and they usually cost like 2 to 10 times more than what regular plastic is. So, not a great solution.
Yeah.
There's been some other pretty good ideas. Compostable plastic is a great idea. Unfortunately, when they say compostable plastic, most of that is industrial compostable, and we don't have an industrial compostable facility here in Phoenix. We have a compostable facility for like yard waste and stuff like that, but not for plastic. And so even if it is compostable and it has to go to that industrial facility to compost, that doesn't end up biodegrading or going away either, because it never makes it to a facility that will allow it to do that. So that's not a really very good solution. And I looked into like home compostable, which sounds like a pretty good solution as well.
Yep.
But because you just you put it in the ground and it composts. The issue with that, it leads you kind of like into a whole nother problem with plastic, is that home compostable it shatters, so it can go away faster. And then you end up with something that doesn't have a shelf life. If you put your product in it, you know that you have to pull it off the shelf within 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And because it starts to shatter rather than biodegrade to right away, it contributes to the microplastics problem, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you've probably heard some about that too.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I worked for a fund based out of New York, San Francisco, a couple of years ago, and my investing career, quote unquote, it started in climate tech.
Okay.
So did swabs of research on recycling, just alternative solutions, everything you listed with the rate of recycling. I mean, bale purity is something else that we're just not getting right here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
The robots are trying to use to sort the recycling because it's really tough as is. There was a company that was really cool actually that was tackling the single use issue of plastic and paper.
Mm-hmm.
And they came out with a 3D printer that did clay cups.
Oh,
Yeah, which was super neat. I thought it
That's
was super
cool.
neat. I haven't checked up on them in a while, but I thought that was great and unique.
Yeah.
And essentially, they were trying to copy Indian culture because the founder was Indian, where out there you get a tea on the street and it comes in a clay cup, and when you're done, you throw it on the ground. Literally, the rain will just get rid of it, and it's dirt.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that is so cool. I think that's the way we should be
There really are some
using
cool
technology.
solutions.
But no, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut off.
Go ahead. There's some cool solutions out there. I think like that one's a really cool one.
Yep.
And we were looking at but it's not a global solution.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that's kind of what we were looking at. And then when we're talking about like the one that ends up with microplastics, that's turned into a whole nother avenue of problems with plastic, and that it microplastics get into our food and our water,
which is
and
crazy, but yes,
into our bodies. It's like there's estimated everybody eats about a credit card worth of microplastics every week. I mean,
is that true? I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, if I pull
That's
out a credit card and
amazing.
ask you to eat it, you would be like, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of it into our system, and so plastics has become a problem there, and that's
crazy.
That's a whole nother avenue. So we were looking at the whole problem, and really came up with a unique solution in that we have a new polymer that has been created. It's it's made out of just basically food starch. So that farm led us to going down this avenue and making it out of plants. And our facility where we make that polymer, I was just there this week, and I was like, is there any thing that could hurt the workers here? And they're like, no, it's food. It's like a food processing plant. So, we've got a compatibilizer, so it can be, blended like regular plastic, and because it's all water based instead of oil based. So there's some tech with that, and we're able to make regular plastic feeling products. So there's no difference you can tell in them, and they won't shatter and they won't go away. You could use it forever. You could, it's like a cup you could use at your house for 5 years, and then when it gets introduced to a bioavailable area like the soil or in a marine environment like a marine layer, and that's pretty much what the globe is covered with. So anytime it gets introduced to that, it biodegrades, and it does it just like a tree would, in that it biodegrades from the outside in. So it gets completely biodegraded, and we do straws that will biodegrade in 208 days, and we have
that's amazing
cups that'll biodegrade in 280 days. And
most paper straws I use biodegrade in 12 seconds, and it is the most annoying thing. Not that I don't love Mother Nature, right? But sometimes, when, as dumb as it sounds, that's the difference between someone wanting to adopt a solution faster than another, because they'll be like, yes, I love the planet, and then they try the paper straw, and it's like, okay, I love it, but not enough to sacrifice a 16-ounce Diet Coke.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because to me that's a game changer. 208 days is, first of all, very specific, which is cool to hear.
Yeah.
But second of all, seems to have a much more natural adoption rate for people.
Oh, 100%. You could use it. You won't know the difference. That was one of the actual issues early on with our testing, is that because the products are used to spending more, they want to be acknowledged for going green.
Yep.
And so they want it to look different. They want their clients to know, their customers to know, look, we're stepping out and trying to make a difference in the world.
Yes.
Well, we can make it look exactly the same. And the beauty of it is we just got recently had a breakthrough in that now we can also make it at price parity with regular plastic. So you don't have to pay more for it.
Yep.
So we can just substitute it right into products as they are now, and the brand doesn't have to pay more, the consumer doesn't have to pay more. The way I like
No
to look
green
at it,
tax?
no,
That's crazy.
no green tax, and 8 billion people don't have to walk around with their own straws, cutlery, cups,
Yeah.
or have to pay 4 times more to try and do the right thing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would ask, because I usually like to ask, okay, what are people just not getting? But it seems like if you're listening, I hope you get it. It's just like
Yeah.
replacing a lot of those things that become not just a hassle, right? I mean, I saw an Instagram reel the other day where it was this woman saying, oh, when you hit your mid 30s or your early 30s and you can't leave home without your emotional support cup.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so silly. And then I read the comments and everyone was like, same, 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 same. And it's like, oh, geez. And a lot of them just like having it. And then a lot of them were mentioning that it was because, oh, they wanted to do their part
Uh-huh.
of making sure that they weren't leaving some sort of plastic somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was just easier to carry the cup than worry, okay, where's that going? Where is this going? Because if you're eating, even just a fast food lunch, my tray, my utensils, my all of that automatically is a one-time disposable thing. And then
Yeah.
with something like this, it sounds like not anymore.
Not anymore. And you gotta, I mean, government's been trying to get rid of it, or regulatory bodies have, and they said, well, the first look was, hey, why don't we get rid of all plastic? And then you look around the room and you're like, well, you can't get rid of everything. Like,
Yep.
I mean, there's stuff, and everything from automobiles to tractor parts to,
So many things.
everything in your house. I got up the other day, walked to get a cup of coffee and look at, go brush my teeth. I started counting all the different products that I would encounter just through opening my fridge and my drawer. I got it to 83 before I stopped. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. And so it needs a solution, and it needs like 50% of what we make is single use. So it's a big category. And governments have tried to just get rid of that category. And that's tough to do whenever you've got, brands all over the world that are going to have to figure out a new way to deliver their product.
Yeah.
But just banning that. So they've gotten the category of what regulatory bodies can do gets smaller and smaller until finally they're like, okay, you can't use a straw.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not gonna make a big dent in the
Yep.
world. In fact, the current statistic is 99.5% of all plastic is still being made with traditional plastic. There's only
I believe it.
1/2 of 1% is biodegradable. So it's just a tiny fraction that's out there. So we're trying to tackle the whole thing. Everything that you can make out of plastic, you can make biodegradable.
Interesting. It sounds like a dream, honestly. That's not even me trying to butter it up. It just sounds great to know that not only will things, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times where I remember growing up, right? My grandma lives in Cabo, so Mexico Peninsula, beautiful place. But we'd often drive all the way down there from Arizona. It was like a 24-hour drive. It was terrible. I did not like going at all. I like going now. It looks nice. But when I was a kid, it was like, oh, I have to take this drive.
Yeah.
And sometimes you make pit stops along the way.
Yeah.
And you'd see bottles
Yeah.
who have been there who knows how long. And I know it would change because the branding and the marketing of the bottle wasn't even that anymore. But you would see a branding and bottle shape from just literally 10 years ago. And you're like, whoa, like, how long has that been there?
Yeah, right. I want to live in a world where we get to use plastic, and plastic isn't the evil that it once was.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So love your solution. Love what you're building. Me from 5 years ago would be digging so much into it. That's when I started doing the climate investing thing. And that said, you're building here in Arizona. What's that experience been like?
Well, we started here in Arizona. My core team is from Arizona, and we really have a real gritty team. That's what I feel like Arizona's got a lot of like real go-getters. I was mentioning earlier, I feel like there's a lot of cowboy style here. I'm going to do it myself, entrepreneurs, and that's a great way to do a startup. That's the attitude you need as a startup. And we found that for farming, it's good for some crops, but not all of them. So we do some farming up in Washington, state of Washington, and then we do some of the actual manufacturing and production in order to bring the guys on who had the background inside of that polymer industry.
Mm-hmm.
We did that up in Idaho.
Okay.
So we have
A little bit of here, a little bit of
here.
there.
So it's all good. And it took really the Arizona team to push through to get to the point to where we are now. So I'm very happy with that. But also, I don't know that we have all the resources that you need here. So we had to, and then some of it's just natural. You can't do anything about farming necessarily, but yeah.
No, 100%. Totally makes sense. Mm-hmm. And how's that been from an ecosystem standpoint? Have you liked it, disliked it?
I like it. I'm still. You're
still here, yeah.
Still headquartered here, and then we just kind of gotta have like the different areas that we work in. So we actually currently have a spot where we do some air classification of the crop and sort it out in Colorado. Do some growing out in Washington, as I mentioned. They do the manufacturing in Idaho. So we kind of really spread out throughout the country. We did a run of plastic manufacturing where converted it into straws in Ohio, but you've been kind of keeping everything here in the U.S. so far. Yeah, anyway.
That's awesome, Joe. So I would love to know, because it sounds like there are so many things you could change. I love how you said that getting rid of all plastic, well, you can't get rid of everything.
Right.
What is the first market you're tackling, and what does the vision look like for 5 years from now?
So we're doing like a two-stage thing. One is we're supporting brands with their current products.
Okay.
So we have a brand that supplies into Walmart's Great Saver brand.
Oh, cool.
So we're supplying the resin for them to make their product, and they do that. So it's on shelves there now.
Yo, congrats.
Yeah, thanks. So that's
cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And we're also supporting some other brands in that area. Same thing, where they want to have a green product. It doesn't necessarily add to the brand, to the product itself, but they don't want to package it in something that's going to hurt the environment. So we have about a half dozen of those companies, and then we're starting our own line that people can buy that are for the restaurant wear. And then we have a distributor who's coming in and asking us, can we do some of that for single-use medical stuff? Because they, I don't know if you've gone to the doctor's office, but everything is packaged so that it's sterile.
Yep.
And then they just make a pile of plastic by the time they unpackage it all.
Mm-hmm.
So none of that is required to be biodegradable, and the alternatives they have don't really work for medical, but this could.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, you're already kicked off in some partnerships at major retailers, which sounds awesome. Uh-huh. And is the path you're following right now the most convenient? Is it what you personally want to work on, or what has that been?
Well,
what does that look like?
The vision is to really make a difference globally, right? So like with all plastics. So we can't do that making our own products. So we have to go in and support brands and take it at the source level. And so that takes a little longer than just popping something on the shelf. So any brand that is really proud of their product, they're going to want to do some real research and make sure that before they switch it over. So that's a longer.
That totally makes sense.
And those sales cycles, some have already come across, like I've said, and some are still in the works. And then there's some that are just so big they need 20 times the size we are in order to even consider it. So there's a gap still to fill. And that's what we're trying to do, is trying to get to that, recognize what that gap is and continue to bring on partners that help us go bigger and bigger.
That's awesome that it seems like you have so many opportunities and places to enter the market through. Mm-hmm. I saw again, it's going to make me sound like I'm on social media too much, which I'm actually not that much. But there was a video of a dog on a staircase at the very top, and they throw one ball down. And he starts chasing it, and then the owner actually has a bucket of balls at the top, and then he just chucks it, and then it's so many more balls, and then the dog just kind of realizes that there's so much to chase.
Yeah.
And essentially he's just excited because there's a lot of good. That's how I feel I would be in your position, because it's like, okay, well, actually I'm going to tackle children's toys first, because I've got a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. So if there was a way to make sure that all plastic wasn't just interacting with them all the time, that would be a good start, or I guess a desired start for me. But it's cool that, because I'm sure there are easier ways that get you faster, that also get you bigger brand name recognition, which also open bigger doors to, I don't know, we with our greeting and gift card stuff that we do, we see retailers often engage in a lot of FOMO, is what I like to say. So when someone has something, they're like, wait, no, I want
Yeah.
a little bit of that too. And then,
Well, that's the conversation I get almost every time. Is can you make this? And it's like,
yep.
yeah, you can make it. And it's almost each product needs its own testing for strength and thickness. And we run it through. We have a testing facility there where the plastic's made to do all that.
Yep.
Otherwise, and it's kind of like has a startup mentality there as well. In that, because like if you go to a large company like Dow, it's 3 months for this test and another 2 months for that test, and
Yep.
we have it all right there. We can do it in one day. Literally take it down to the lab and test it on the same machines that they use. And that's when you're coming up with something new, you got to be able to move quick.
Yep.
You can't really sit in R&D for one
Yeah.
thing, that one thing and take a year on it that you can maybe get done in 30 days. You know what it's like as a startup.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unless the difference between a feature is life and death, which is usually not in a tech startup, you need to be shipping and then making sure you're getting as many proof points as possible, feedback, and then
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, totally,
love
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this has been great, Joe. If there was a one-liner you could leave the world with, what would that be? Could it be either a personal one, a business one, however you want?
Gosh, they put me on the spot with a one-liner.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, plastic's everywhere. We need it. It's been demonized.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be. We don't need to change the habits of 8 billion people and the industries around the world. We can just change the material.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to get rid of plastic, we can just make plastic that gets rid of itself.
That is awesome. Where can people find you?
I'm at GreenMatterBiotech.com. You can reach me there. Just go through our website and be happy to respond and kind of help you out with any products or anything you need.
Awesome. Well, guys, you heard it. That is so cool to say that plastic can hopefully eliminate itself. Love that vision. That'd make a great little video where it just disappears into nothing. I don't know, right? I'm just kind of bouncing off ideas here now, but thank you so much for your time, Joe. Super appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. And everyone, that is it for this edition of the Silicon Oasis Spotlight. Please follow Joe and his company. Awesome things are coming, and they're being built right here in Arizona. But we'll catch you next time.